Over the past few weeks, I've been taking characters from Five Nights at Freddy's and turning them into corrupted monstrosities. And I'm doing all of this in the name of promoting my indie show that I'm in the process of making called The Apocalypse Party. And so far, I have successfully made Corrupted Freddy and Chica. Now it's only fair for it to be Bonnie's turn. For anyone that's not one of my 6,338 subscribers, thank you by the way so much, it really means a lot, I really appreciate it. You probably would know nothing about the Apocalypse Party or the Corrupted or anything I'm going to be talking about lore wise, So I won't go too into it in this video, but I will just give you a brief need to know and share my synopsis for my show that I'm creating as I sketch out how I want Bonnie to look. So, The Apocalypse Party is an animated dystopia slash horror series about four kids who find each other 10 years after an apocalypse where interdimensional aliens take over the world. They found themselves going on many silly and horrific adventures, struggling with concepts of purpose, failure, faith, and happiness. They battle many uncanny and terrifying stop motion aliens, all the while trying to find some sort of grip on reality as they grow and mature. The main message of my show will be finding peace in chaos and not giving up. Now, as for those interdimensional aliens I mentioned, aka corruptors, are aliens that are from obviously another dimension that can twist and monsterify any creature. Then that newly corrupted creature will help them in corrupting the rest of the world. Think like zombie tag from when you're in like second grade. Overall, it's a pretty simple concept, but I go into more detail about the lore and other things in other videos if you're curious, so I'd subscribe if I were you so you don't forget. Now, as for Corrupted Bonnie, truth be told, I didn't know what I wanted to do with him, and out of the main group, Bonnie is definitely my least favorite, so I was honestly fine with not putting too much thought or effort into him compared to the others. But apparently, everyone and their mother seems to love Bonnie the most, and y'all begged me to make him, so I figured the least I could do is at least give him my all and make him special and cool for you. And so now, actually thinking about how I want to design him, I looked at all the designs across the games, and most people seem to really like Withered Bonnie the best. So, I designed my puppet with his features in mind. I most notably severed his left arm and made him the most withered out of the group. Since Bonnie is the most active in the game series, mainly acting as the most common threat, I decided to make him scarred and angry. I also showed most of his Indo, unlike the other corrupted designs. I wanted to look like he's taken a lot of damage, relentlessly clawing at his enemies without self-preservation in mind. Now at this point, after I just finished designing him, I got another boatload of comments of people asking for him to have a removable face. So I told myself I'd find a way to incorporate that into him. And so while I don't have an immediate game plan for what I wanted him to look like once his face was removed, I just decided to wing it once I actually started making him physically. Speaking of, like I said before, I want his Indo to be showing in some parts, so I had to figure out a way to make something that is reminiscent of a stop motion puppet Indo without spending a lot of money that a stop motion puppet Indo is, and so after some careful thought, I was struck with an idea to use old Lego Hero Factory Bionicle toys from when I was little. And the cool thing about things like this is I never took apart the main characters that I used to play with. So this was my main guy. I don't know. I think I just called him Hero or Zach. Zach or Hero is one of the two. He was like the main hero. And ooh, look at this. We got a big one here. This was the scientist, I believe. This was his angry side, and this was his scientific side. And yeah. What else do we got here? Oh, we got some sort of broken abomination of some sorts. Another broken abomination. Now that I have the basic parts I need, I'm gonna take a trip down to my workshop, cut them up, and then extend them. I used a soldering iron to melt the plastic onto some cut-up bolts to extend the limbs. Now, fair warning, this is a lot more complex than my other builds, and if you want to do this, you should really be careful and take the proper safety precautions. But anyways, with all that said, After 5 or so hours of melting plastic and attaching wire, I had my basic endoskeleton for Bonnie complete. Then I had some fun and did a little stop motion animation test with his endo. Go to my Patreon or become a YouTube member to watch it. Links will be in the description. Next, I added some finer details onto my endo, and as I do this, I want to explain a method of making things that some of you might not be particularly familiar with. This is kit bashing. Kit bashing is a method of making things where instead of making every part of the build from scratch like I did with Freddy or Chica, you take existing things and Frankenstein them together. The term comes from people combining different model sets into their own original creation. Think like when you were building your own Legos as a kid, just more complex. Now, more advanced kit bashing is honestly just finding a bunch of garbage and turning it into something cool. And for anyone who's curious why I'm going on this little teaching spree about kit bashing, I just want to say that, yes, these corrupted builds are mainly for entertainment, but I do want to also be able to provide the resources and knowledge to people who actually want to try and make things like this, and teach people about different techniques and approaches they can take. And so that's why I tried to only use kit bashing to put Bonnie together, except for some parts like that. And after we sculpted the head from clay, we can scar it up, hollow it out, detach the face, and glue it to the back of the neck. Now remember how I said I was just planning to wing it and see what I think of with the removable face? Well, I was watching my favorite show, Adventure Time, when this scene came on.
You darest encroach upon my domain! You've raised my frosty dander, and for that I shall... Oh! I've soiled my tunic!
And that's when inspiration hit. So I dug out this old remote control post-apocalyptic car I made when I was in middle school to scrap for some parts. Specifically, one part. Do you see what, or should I say who, is dangling off the back of that? That's correct, Will Byers from Stranger Things. As for context, this was my least favorite character in the show when I was really watching it, and to punish him for being one of my least favorite characters, middle school me strapped him to the back of my post-apocalyptic RC car and drove him around while his face and body got scratched up on the pavement. I know. Wow, thinking back on my childhood, some of your comments were right. I really am like Sid from Toy Story.
Patient is Brett. No one's ever attempted a double bypass brain transplant before. Now for the tricky part. Pliers!
I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
I wanna ride the pony.
Anyways, today I will be showing him a mercy by putting him out of his misery. Actually, wait, no, never mind. I'm going to be chopping him up into little pieces and reanimating him. Okay, so now that I got the basic concept for the inside of the head done, we can bulk up the rest of the body using cling wrap and foam. Again, I went into more detail on this whole process in other videos, especially in my FNAF Corrupted series, so you should definitely subscribe and go watch those if you're curious. I also decided to add some springs in his waist while attaching the foam. Just cause, why not? Then, after the foam, I coated Bonnie's body in fabric. Now, I made the mistake of buying purple fabric instead of blue when I went to the store because I brought this Bonnie figure with me from the first series as a reference, not thinking much of it, but once I got home, I started to think about it and realized that Bonnie was not in fact purple, or at least I don't think so. So I said, screw it, and you know what, I'll just paint over it when it comes time to paint. Before I paint, I'm going to damage the fabric to give it that withered and stressed look. Next I made the ears with some wire and fabric, and then attached them to the head. And now finally, it's time to paint. Alright, so during this little bit, I just want to show you how I go about my weathering and blackwashing process. So firstly, I'll get some just basic, cheap acrylic paint, get into a little dish like this, go bop, bop, take this, and then in a cup or bin filled with water, dip it in just for like a little bit. Then you see it's real viscous and pretty thing. Then you go boop, boop, and then from that should be enough to then wash it right on like this. And as you can see, this looks a lot more than I usually do. So what I usually do is just wipe it off a little bit so you get that nice weathered and blackened approach without painting it or ruining it. And worst case scenario with this thing, if you do too much, wipe it off, or if it's too late, just paint over it. It's really no big deal. So, yeah. After the basic painting is done, I can add what my art teacher likes to call the crispy bits, aka the minor details that make a piece. So I added some little wires here and there, and also mounted these bones on, because I really want Bonnie to be the most angry and predatory out of the group, so I figured by adding these bones from an old Predator action figure, it would be a good way to portray that. I also painted some red in his scars, then I finally cut out and glued on his iconic bow tie. And then, lastly, I covered him in corrupted nerves and some purple spots to blend them to his body. Thank you everyone for watching to the end. I am really unexpectedly proud of how Bonnie turned out. I really appreciate your comments and suggestions. They were a big motivator to make Bonnie right. And as for anyone who's not subscribed yet, I don't know what you're doing, man. You really gotta get on that. Especially if you're someone who loves FNAF, because while I may not be a FNAF channel, I am on a big FNAF kick right now, so you'll see a lot of good content. Anyways, next up is my favorite Foxy, and I'm really excited to make him. So let me know if you have any suggestions for him. Also, subscribe to help me out and show your support. Anyway, happy creating, friends, and I'll see you later.